How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. We're going to have a thought experiment style of video in this one. I've seen For Honor, we've all basically seen For Honor compared to a fighting game, which I think we all can kind of say that it's not really a fighting game. So I thought it would be interesting to dive into just one small section of, we're going to talk about fighting games and when it comes to 50-50s and stuff like that. So I'm taking what many consider to be the 50-50 of For Honor, the shoulder bash, and obviously multiple characters have something very similar. So we have a level 1 that gives a smaller amount of damage. We have a level 2 that catches people that'll dodge the level 1. There is a timing where you can dodge level 1 and the level 3 to make the warden miss, so the level 2 will catch them. Or we have obviously the level 3 that does a little bit, it's close to double the damage. Obviously 15 damage on the side lights, and we get 27 off that top heavy. So that's kind of the 50-50 for Warden. Now, obviously other characters have this 50-50. For just a quick example, we obviously have Hitokiri has the 50-50, Warmonger has a 50-50, Centurion. They all have a chargeable bash that can be considered a 50-50. Highlanders has been considered a 50-50 for a long time, but there is technically a very slight timing where you can dodge both of them, but if you want, we can add that to the list. Other characters, I'm not going to consider a true 50-50 if it's like Monk, how he gets the kicks and he goes for the top unblockable that can be feinted into a guard break. Yes, you have to parry reasonably quickly if you want to stop the unblockable. Obviously, his grab will stop any other options. Shigoki, characters like him, where if you roll away, you avoid both options, although if he goes for a hug, you still get to punish him, I think are... It makes sense. We'll get into it in just a moment. But characters that have the 50-50, Warmonger obviously gets small amounts of damage. If she gets 15 damage, same as Warden off the normal bash. She gets I think 28, 1 extra damage on the full charge. Centurion on a full charge knocks you to the ground. He gets the pin, or off a normal, he gets a light attack. And this goes for many 50-50 characters that we consider 50-50 characters in this game. Now, the added thing that we haven't looked at when it comes to a game like this, though, is if you do a fully charged bash, for instance, Warden is very good when it comes to this. He can cancel it once he starts moving to catch people dashing away. Even if you back dash away, the bash will take him just close enough to where he can feint it and then grab you, allowing him to get a side heavy. So let's compare this, shall we, to other games that have 50-50 characters. I'm going to start with Tekken, and then I'm going to go to a couple NRS games because I don't have Street Fighter or anything installed, so these will be just some examples. But if you guys play Street Fighter or anything like that, please leave it down below your comparisons. So I'm going to hop on over, and I'm going to talk about the characters that are considered 50-50 characters in these games. We're on Tekken. Kazuya is known as one of the most annoying 50-50 characters in the series, although we'll talk about the benefits and why he's considered, the 50-50. So, for starters, the majority of real, normal fighting games, it's not just, your typical button. You have inputs to do everything you could want to do. So, Kazuya has a wave dash that allows him to do a low or cancel it into a mid. So, the way this works is if you block low, you'll stop his hell sweep, but the mid will connect. If you stand, you'll block the mid, but the low will connect. So that's how that works. If you land this, as you see, he can get a combo off. And then once you hit the wall, we're talking really big damage. So think about how For Honor was before the Core Kombat update. So as you see there, this is a typical combo. Obviously, I could have done more. So rather than doing this to the wall, you could have done his hell sweep, which then would lead into the standing, which then leads into the full thing. So the reward for doing this is higher for the most part than this. If you train your opponent to look for the hell sweep, you can very easily start mixing this in, and then as you can see, you can go for whatever you want. And the damage is obviously going to be higher. Now, the difference here is this on block is safe. You can't just punish them. So it's relatively safe. Now, the one thing you can do is you can sidestep in this game, and you want to sidestep Kazuya's right shoulder. If you think about doing something like that, when he does this, his back stands completely straight. So if I were fighting myself, for instance, I could sidestep and then do one of his other moves, like an electric. Now, the electric is a fast attack that comes out and does very high damage, although it is, however, a high. Now, with it being a high, you can duck it. So, if you condition your opponent enough to look for the low, obviously you can start going for this. And now this is when reads come in. But the difference with Tekken is you have 2 or 3 rounds, basically, to figure out your opponent completely. Now, here's the thing. If you go for something like this, where the forward kick where you would get the hit, and he does an electric, he gets you, right? Or this is a counter hit launcher. Let's say he hits you with something like this, super basic combo, messed it up there at the end, right? Or what if he's dashing away, and then you go for something, and he dashes in and is able to punish you. In some cases, if you get the timing right, you could also do an electric out of that. Now, you can also get a triple electric combo. And as you can see, that's 100 damage. The characters in this game, I believe, have 140, which means that's over half his health bar gone because I punished him. He did something not safe, and I punished him. That was 70 damage. That's half his health because when he threw an attack, it missed. Now, comparing this to For Honor, you can kind of say, you know, if you dodge to the side and Warden misses, you get a grab, you get to damage him, right? So, comparing that, I want to point out that Kazuya doesn't have a whole lot of moves. A lot of his stuff is hidden behind low startup. It takes a long time to get things going. It's a high thing. These really don't do you any good, so the average speed for something like this is around 13. His is a 15. Most characters have a whole bunch of other like random moves they can do. His electric, if blocked, is +5, so he does get some frame, but it pushes them about this far away. And his farthest reaching move is this, but you can sidestep that. So what I'm trying to say is most 50-50 characters in a lot of games obviously have smaller move lists. Warden has smaller move lists. Centurion, a lot of those characters that we see in our game, For Honor, have a smaller move list as well. Whereas if I were to pick some other characters that, or for instance, there's Jin in this game who has the 50-50, but it's much, much slower with much less range. But he technically has a 50-50, but he also has a ton of other stuff that he can use. I'm not going to show him here, but just so you know, he does have the same kind of 4-4-3. He also has a Hell Sweep. The Hell Sweep is slower and has less range, but he gets a full combo off of it, but the damage is normally lower. So Kazuya does 36 damage. Jin, with a Jin that knows what they're doing, does the Hell Sweep, can get about 50 damage on a combo unless there's a wall in which he does even more. Which means Jin's Hell Sweep would be better, but it's slower and it has less range. So his range is about here. He'd have to be about this close. Now, obviously, if you think about it, you can wave dash in, get really close to your opponent. Now, I know what you might think. Well, can't you just sidestep it? So the Mishimas can do 2 in a row, which will realign them. So if you're sidestepping and he does a wave dash into wave dash, it'll realign him with wherever you currently are. So it's similar to Warden's, where if you dash behind Warden, his level 3 will still hit. There are obviously other characters in this game have lows and mids. They all have something. But we're comparing the 50-50 style characters, so I'm making you kind of get an idea of how it works here. Here, there's a lot less moves this character has because of his vortex. Because he has a vortex, he just doesn't have a whole lot of moves. This looks good at first because you think, oh, it's alright, it works, it's a combo. Problem is, if this hits, this is not guaranteed. If they block low, you're in trouble. So to demonstrate how you're in trouble, similar to For Honor, if you miss your bash, you're in trouble. So the Hell Sweep, if blocked, if I were to block it right, I'm guaranteed this. Which then I'm guaranteed all of that. So that's about half the health because I knew he was going to Hell Sweep. Now, if you're scared of punishing with a big punish, obviously, that's comparative to like throwing someone to the wall. If you just do a normal one, even though there's a wall nearby, you could compare it to something like this, where you just want to get the damage. You just want to get something going. So let's look at some other fighting game portrayals of 50-50 characters. I think Kazuya is, and you have to remember, when we're looking at and comparing these games, Warden does have a backdashing version. Now Kazuya, there's a Korean backdash, which is the same-ish, it's close to the same input as the wave dash. Now you can dash back and make your opponent miss and then go for an electric or something like that. You can't use the vortex, but you can get an electric, which, as I showed, is a huge combo. It's not just like, oh, Warden backdashed, hits you, now he gets a couple lights. No, it's much bigger. And when we look at characters that can just instant vortex, so Warden, you can, if you want him not to do anything more than level 1, you can hit him. I should have shown this, but in Tekken, when you get knocked to the ground, there are kicks that you can do while on the ground, or you can like hop up at somebody. If Kazuya comes in and is ready to 50-50 you, if you hit the A button, or the number 3, if you're a fighting game enthusiast, it's number 3. If you hit the 3 button, it'll counter hit and you get a combo. It's small combo, but you still get a combo because it's a counter hit launcher. And this will guarantee you that you get to punish him for trying to enforce a mix-up. So, for instance, Warden, I've run into a lot of people that just spam light attacks when I'm using the bash. They don't care how many they eat. They don't. They don't care. So long as at some point they can get me to stop, I guess. I'm not really sure what their plan really is. But regardless, they just go for it. So I want to kind of point out that it is somewhat similar. They can stuff you from doing a mix-up. It is similar to that regard. Now, one thing we have to keep in mind, and I'll talk about this at the end, is For Honor does have 3 directions of attack, and we'll get into that. I haven't played Mortal Kombat in a bit, but I do remember, I don't know if there's better characters that do this stuff now, or if I still remember who does it the best. I don't remember anymore. But we got Sub-Zero because he's got an overhead here that can crushing blow on counter hit. And we also have his low string right here. Now, the reason I bring these up is if you use an ice ball, you get a combo, which is basically a, if I remember right, you can do something like that. I know that one of his big jump-ins is that. I can't remember the exact angle at which I need to hit it, though. Like I said, it's been quite a while since I've played MK11, and that's just due to the fact that I got a little bored. So, if you use particular setups, if you were to meter burn the ice ball, for instance, the overhead can lead to a combo in this game. But that's assuming you know it's going to connect. The overhead is not safe, but because people fear the mid, you can get away with sometimes just throwing this out. And if you have the slide, you can throw this for an instant low immediately after. Now, in this game, overheads are the ones that hit while you're standing. Hit while you're crouching, my bad. Lows, you have to block while knelt. And this game actually has a block button. So, the mid is not like Tekken. You can't, if someone's crouching, do a mid. I forgot how few mids there feel in this game. You can't do a mid to hit someone that's crouching. But you can, however, confirm, you can't really confirm the overhead, but you can try to. Same as, but yeah, that's basically what I want to talk about. There are universal lows in this game, similar to Tekken and stuff like that. Spawn would be, he doesn't have a true 50-50. The reason is he has one where it's back X, Y, I believe, or back 1 then 2, where he hits mid and then he does the overhead. And he has another one that's a dial-in where you have to input the entire string that hits low, mid, high, and then he can combo. So technically, due to the fact that the first one I mentioned is a mid, then an overhead, if you see the cape, you know it's going to be overhead. He doesn't have a low option in his combo variation. Can For Honor actually be attributed similarly to a normal fighting game? I think many people already have their opinion on this, but I wanted to put all of the stuff side by side, that way you can at least look at it. That way we all get a general vibe of how it would look side by side. And then, I just want to make a community discussion, basically. It's a little TED Talk. So I'll show you guys a character from Justice and a character from MKX. Alright, so we're on MKX. I picked Quan Chi because I vaguely remember him. So we're going to start in the corner. He does have this, which will launch, as we can see here. So obviously that's not an optimal combo. You could do something more along the lines of if I could actually hit it, which then would allow me to combo. So the other option, this is normally a mid. If you charge it, it can become an overhead. In one of his variations, Summoner, you can do a low demon at basically the exact same amount of time. And if you time it right, obviously you get the pop-up. And then that allows you to, sorry, I keep clicking the wrong button, but that allows you to do a very generic, basic combo with him. And remember, Quan Chi wasn't that hard to do a whole lot of stuff with. So you have the low here, and if you, as I keep messing up, so as you can see here, you could get that into this, and then I can't remember if you were able to get this in or not, but regardless, you can also do this as an overhead. Granted, this is super unsafe. You can also call these in, so you could do something like that where it would launch them, and then you could do your trance immediately after. So sorry, it's been very long since I've played this game. Here we go. And I keep not running in far enough, but you guys get the general concept of how this used to play out. There we go. So that would be that, and then this one was obviously the other option. This was very big in the corner because you were able to do things kind of like this, where you could jump backwards into this and then end it with that if you wanted to for extra damage. Again, in the corner, this would work as well. As you can see, you can combo off that. It's basically the same combo. Once you have them up in the air, you could jump back again into this, into that. And in this variation, he had all of his portals and stuff. One of the big ones that I really liked using in the corner. I didn't use them very much, but one of these, where is it? There it is. It gave you armor, so if I'm standing in the circle, all of my moves have armor, which just allowed me to do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. So I could do this, and they weren't able to actually do anything about me doing it. But yeah, that's MKX's version, and like I said, there might be other characters on here that I forgot, but we'll move on to Injustice. So, getting into characters like Bane, for instance. So, he's got this low here, and then he has this overhead. As you can see, one is infinitely different, because this one you have to hold and then press down the diagonal. If you just hit Y forward, you get the punch. He also had this, which was an overhead, but you could just stand block regardless. So you would try to condition your opponent to thinking you're always going to do this, something like that. This is an overhead and was safe on block. The other thing you could do immediately out of this move here is go for a command grab. And as many people know, Bane's grabs do a lot of damage. He also has Venom, which allows him to do even more damage if he chose to. So a lot of the times you would see the combos come from this. I don't remember the string. There it is. Oh yeah, I don't have to press A in this game. That's only Tekken. And then you'd get something like that. And that was his low starter. This doesn't look as bad, does it? There is one problem to just always trying to block mid or low against Bane. And that was because he had this, which could hit overhead. But he could also, if you blocked it, he could go into a grab. If it hit, he could go into a grab. Yeah, alright, there it is. So the overhead, funny enough, could be put into the string. So you could do something like that. So it was always going to be an overhead technically, or you could just throw it out plain and raw. But for this sake, we're going to do it the easier way. And there you go. That's 500 damage off his overhead, and then off of stuff like this, you could end in command grab. You could switch sides. You could do whatever you wanted. This was also an overhead, so if you use this a lot, and you could do a command grab. If you really had a good read, you could do something like this into this. You could dash forward. They think it's going to be a low. Do an overhead. And real quick, we'll look at Batman, because I know a lot of people are probably going to ask why. Well, why didn't you do Batman? He was crazy. We could just do something like that for right now. I don't remember his combos. Oh, that would work. And then he would get a full combo off of that. He also had a couple overheads mixed into here. Obviously, every character had this overhead, which if you amplified would give armor. And then this here, like I said, is an overhead. Well, you could also do this and make it a low. Now, because this game allowed gear and stuff like that, you could have these, which are the electric batarangs. So, because he could cancel the low into the electric batarangs that would give him a combo, it led to a situation where he could do something like this. If he already had his bats out, you were kind of in more trouble, because back when this game was obviously more prevalent, people knew how to extend stuff like that. Now, the low came into effect because you could do something like that, where you could let the overhead go, or if you did something similar to this, you would still get your combo and you could still get your bats out, and you could do the exact same combo where after landing this you can have all the bats connect. Funny enough, in the neutral, due to the electric bats, I could actually combo from somewhere like this, although he won't fly as high up in the air. The other string he had was this, which was, it would go low on the last hit. So almost any character that had a low similar to this in the game could do this and cancel into overhead. But this would, as a matter of fact, launch you. So if he did this, you're going to get launched irregardless. You know what I mean? So, and then he, like I pointed out, he could also do this, although it is 2 bars to do it. But if he had a hard read, he could do it. And that's not including any additional. So that's 2 bars just to do that portion of it. If he wanted more and to do a bigger combo, then, you know, he would have to spend even more on it. Because then you have to spend meter on the extension, which would permanently knock down. If you did 2 of these in a row, it would just knock down. So let's go ahead and bring it on back to For Honor and see where, you know, where do these games kind of stand. Like I said, if you play any other fighting games, let me know what the differences are there. Now, going to For Honor, I'm going to go ahead and say my opinion is that they're not truly comparable. I see them compared, and I can see some idea of where it's similar, I guess. There are parts where I do find it to just not work, you know, logically. In a lot of the NRS games, 50-50s can be made safe for the most part by meter burning, whether it's a projectile, Batman doing that forward meter burn. Yes, it takes 2 bars, but the forward was safe. Bane's is safe as well. It does eat up your meter, but it's safe. Tekken, I think, was a little more comparable. It is a third person. You can dodge. And the other thing is, if you block the hell sweep, he's punished. You can stop him from even doing a mix-up with a kick. Obviously, if he knows you're going to do that, he can dash in and then block it and then punish you for doing it. But that can be said similarly to For Honor, where if he's charging his bash and you dodge, he feints it and grabs you, he gets to punish you. So I think if you're looking in terms of just raw 50-50 and you're just looking at the bash and, let's say, Tekken's wave dash, they're similar in some respects, but I don't think they're... Like, you're not going to see Warden dashing forward using bash into bash into bash into bash like Kazuya can, where it's wave dash into wave dash into wave dash, and then they, you know, it's just wave, and you're just moving through. So the whole point of the video was kind of get the community's feedback on it, because obviously if you go to the For Honor Reddits and crap like that, there are some people that compare them and other people that say they're nowhere near comparable. But I do think in some small categories they can be comparable. But again, For Honor has 3 different directions of attacking, which makes For Honor harder to defend in than it does Tekken. You can say Tekken technically could have 3 because it has unblockables and stuff like that, and then throws and stuff like that, they all need to be broken with a particular button. So you could claim that maybe a throw is a third option, which they're highs, you can duck them and then punish. If you know the direction, you can counter the throw and take no damage. Obviously, For Honor has grabs and throws and stuff, but for the most part, you do it to punish your opponent for trying to parry something, or you do it if they're dodging too much. Whereas in Tekken, you test their knowledge. You test their knowledge as to, can you stop me from doing this? And if they can't, it's something you can abuse. Similarly, when I played Warden the last time, I played him with a friend this week. I'm getting married on the weekend, so we were kind of just joking around, playing around. Well, I had somebody that would throw a light attack without fail every time I went into my bash. After 2 rounds, I said, you know what? This guy's not going to let me ever charge my bash at all. He's just going to keep swinging. Unless I'm far away from him, which he was playing Highlander. Unless I'm far away from him, I'm never going to get to use it. So for 1 round, I really tried to train him not to do it. I used bash into light, bash into light, bash into light, and I just kept going until I was almost out of stamina. And he started spamming WoW, but continued to light attack. And then when I was close to out of stamina, I stopped. I blocked a lot of his hits. I parried one of his lights, and did my heavy, fainted, and I did a light, and I immediately started to do it again. And you know what? He kept throwing lights. The next round we faced him on, he did the exact same thing and spammed WoW again. He was a rep 23 Highlander. The problem I have with comparing the two, in my opinion, is yes, you can stop the mix-up in For Honor, technically. You'll still get hit by the lower damaging one, but I think it's balanced reasonably well. Fighting games, if you guess wrong with Kazuya's mix-up, that's half life. If you guess the mid. Otherwise, if you block his low, you half-life him. But if he does the low, you only lose 36 health. And that was with the counter hit on, so it could be like 35, 32, 34, somewhere around there. It's in the 30s. But if you guess wrong on For Honor and it's level 1 bash, you take reasonably low damage. But if the Warden guesses right and he knows you're going to dodge and he does the full charge bash, gets a top heavy, it doesn't feel as rewarding for the sole fact that the damage is lowered because you have 3 directions of attack, but the 50-50 doesn't matter on that. The 50-50 is, are you going to do a level 1 or a level 2 or 3? Really, the mix-up is, because if you know the timing to dodge the 1 and the 3, it becomes a 50-50 whether you're going to do a 1/3 or a 2. That's the 50-50. And if you're going to feint, which all of these options can be negated by rolling away. Similarly, Tekken, all of his wave dash into something options can be negated by a read. You can do the up kick, or if you know he's not going to come in, you can just wait. You can just stand up because you know he's scared of you doing an up kick. But in For Honor, if someone rolls away from you, that's not a read. That's just them not wanting to take a 50-50. You can't do that in most fighting games. You can use movement in Tekken to avoid 50-50s. Like, you can sidestep, like I pointed out. You can sidestep away from them. And the characters have options to stop you. But Warden doesn't really have an option when it comes to people rolling away. He can do his forward heavy, but most people recover fast enough to parry that. Warmonger, I think, is the best example of this, whereas if you go for the 50-50, people roll away, you do your forward heavy, feint it, and if they go for the heavy, you can light attack. If they go for a light attack, you can parry it. She has options. Centurion is also similar to Warden's, where if they roll away, you could try to do a forward kick, but they could dash it and then punish you. So I think Highlander also, roll away, Shigoki roll away. All of the mix-ups in For Honor can be negated with rolling away. Now, the one problem with saying this, and obviously this is all my opinion, leave yours down below. The one problem with saying this is obviously, do you have enough stamina to roll away? Do you have enough stamina to get the fuck out of there, to no longer have to take the mix-up? Can you do it? That's the real question. And when it comes to games like Tekken, it's very... I'd say just the 50-50 aspect is similar. That's it. I don't think For Honor is comparable to fighting games, and you can do kind of what I'm doing and pick out like this one thing where it's somewhat similar, but the rest of it, isn't. The rest of it isn't very similar. And when it comes to the Mortal Kombat games, that basically is a guess or a fuzzy guard. For the most part, you're guessing. It is a true, it's a 50-50. Obviously, conditioning is a big part of Mortal Kombat and using Warden and stuff like that. So let me know what you guys think down below. I think For Honor, for the most part, if we're comparing it to a fighting game, did reasonably well in the balancing, for the sole fact that due to there are 3 different attack sides and stuff like that, there are armor moves, there are armor moves in Tekken, and there's unblockables in Tekken as well. But they're not as good. The unblockables aren't as good in Tekken. Most of them can be sidestepped and punished hard. And the armor moves can all be punished with a light attack or something like that, whereas in For Honor, you can't just punish things. So I would say my personal verdict of my TED Talk here is that For Honor isn't truly comparable. You can draw some similarities, which I feel like most games that involve fighting are going to contribute to a similar mindset. But like I said, let me know what you guys think down below. This is mostly just a fun community talk. I figured I would give you guys something to talk about over the weekend, since I'm going to the wedding, and I thought it'd be fun. Well, obviously I'm going to the wedding. I have to kind of be there, groom. But I figured I'd give you guys something to chit-chat about and think about over the weekend. So when I come back, I am very much looking forward to seeing what you all have to say. Other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and I hope I didn't bore you all too much. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.